Good morning, everyone. College go rala deroju. No one is there in the classroom. So I went to our classroom. No one is there. Never rala dama offline classes ki. Please respond because I went to your classroom. No one is there. So I came back to my cabin and I am taking my class. I just want to know whether anybody came to the college or not.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. See, unit 2, we have discussed the application layer protocols. We have started with application layer architectures, application architectures like client server architecture, P2P architecture. Then we have discussed some of the applications of application layer. We started with HTTP, then file transfer protocol, then mail protocol SMTP. Then we have discussed DNS. Finally, we have ended up with socket programming for UDP as well as TCP. So here the sockets are used to exchange the information between two processes. Between the two processes, one process runs on server, another process runs on client. We have seen one scenario. We have assumed one simple application. For that application, we have seen the socket program for both TCP as well as UDP. The only difference is in TCP there is a connection established between client and server or sender and receiver before transmitting the information. But in the case of UDP, there is no connection. The datagrams are transmitted directly from sender to receiver. The datagrams or packets will travel independently. So that's why that UDP is a unreliable data transfer, and the data may be lost in UDP as well as out of order, not in order, because each datagram will travel independently. So in unit 3, we are going to discuss transport layer. The layer below the application layer is transport layer, the important layer. Here we need to see what are the principles of this transport layer or services that are provided by this transport layer. Then we have to see how this multiplexing and demultiplexing takes place in this transport layer, and this is reliable data transfer. Reliable data transfer if you are using transmission control protocol. If you are using user datagram protocol, the unreliable data transfer. These are the two protocols that comes under transport layer. The flow control is also part of this transport layer. Congestion control is also part of transport layer. We'll see in detail what is flow control and what is congestion control. So UDP is a connectionless transport protocol. TCP is a connection-oriented reliable transport, but UDP unreliable transport. Then TCP congestion control. If it is a TCP, there is a congestion control we need to discuss. So these are the things we are going to discuss as part of this unit 3 in our prescribed textbook. Transport layer is discussed in chapter 3. Here we are using the same PPTs that are provided by the others. Chapter 3 is transport layer. These are the things we are going to discuss. So you can let us look at the outline. Transport layer services first we need to see. Then multiplexing and demultiplexing. Then connectionless transport, that is user datagram protocol. Then we need to see what are the principles of reliable data transfer. Then connection oriented protocol, that is transmission control protocol. In transmission control protocol, the data is divided into segments. We need to see what is the structure of the segment. Then reliable data transfer, flow control, connection management, because it's a connection oriented protocol. Then what are the principles of congestion control? Finally, TCP congestion control. TCP congestion control. These are the things we are going to discuss as part of our unit 3, that is transport layer. Now let us look at, as I told you earlier, the transport layer is responsible for process to process delivery. Process to process delivery, but the network layer is responsible for node to node delivery. So if it is a node to node delivery, the responsibility is, that is the responsibility of network layer. If it is a process to process delivery, that is the responsibility of transport layer. So here you can observe it provides the logical communication between application processes running on different host devices. For example, if process 1 running on host 1, process 2 running on host 2, if you want to establish the or transmit the information between these two processes, that is the responsibility of transport layer protocols. So it provides the logical communication between application processes running on different host devices. So if it is the logical communication between different host devices, that is the responsibility of network layer. Between two host devices, responsibility of network layer. Between two application processes, that is the responsibility of transport layer. You can see what are the operations that takes place at the sender side as well as at the receiver side. At the sender side, it breaks up the message into segments. So the data units in transport layer are called as segments. The data units in transport layer are called as segments, and the segments are passes to the network layer. If we see the protocol layer structure, application layer, then transport layer, then network layer. So at the sender side, the data is moving from top to bottom. So at the receiver side, bottom to top. This is at the sender side. This is at the receiver side. So whenever the data is coming from the application layer, the transport layer breaks up the messages into segments and passes to the network layer. So in this way. At the sender side. So breaks up the message into segments and passes to the network layer. While coming to receiver side, at the center side, that message, the information is breaks up into segments. At the receiver side, we need to connect all those segments and we need to reassemble. That's why here reassembles the segments into messages. The center side message is breaks up into segments. Okay. At the receiver side, the segments are reassembled into messages and passes to the application layer. At the receiver side. So in addition to process delivery, segmentation and reassembly are also responsibilities of or functionalities of transport layer. The first thing is we need to tell about this transport layer is this transport layer establishes a logical communication between two different processes that runs on different host devices. Second thing is segmentation and reassembly is also another functionality of transport layer. So you have more than one transport protocol available to applications. For example, these are the examples of transport layer protocols: transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol. Transmission control protocol is connection oriented. User datagram protocol is connection less. You can observe in this scenario, one host device, there is a process running on this another device. Logical end-to-end transport. End-to-end means process to process. Node to node means it's not end-to-end. The node to node connection is the responsibility of network layer. But process to process transport is also called as end-to-end transport. End-to-end delivery means process to process delivery. So process to process delivery is the responsibility of a transport protocol, transport layer protocols. But node to node transport is responsibility of network layer. Here the data is coming from the application layer to transport layer. Transport layer breaks up the message into segments and hand over to the network layer. At the receiver side, the transport layer receives the segments from the network layer and reassembles it and transmits it to the application layer. So these are the two examples of transport layer protocols: transmission control protocol and user datagram protocol. As I told you here, the transport layer versus network layer. I told you already, this network layer is responsibility is logical communication between host devices. But transport layer, logical communication between processes that runs on different host devices. So it relies on enhances network layer services. So this is the final thing: end-to-end delivery or process-to-process delivery is the responsibility of transport layer. For example, let us consider an analogy. There are 12 kids in Anne's house, another 12 kids in Bill's house. So Anne's house and Bill's house comes under examples of host devices. Anne's house one host, Bill's house another host. The processes are kids. The processes are kids. So they are exchanging the information. They are writing the letters to 12 kids in Bill's house. Here application messages are nothing but letters in envelopes. Application messages are nothing but letters in envelope. Here the transport protocol responsibility is Anne's and Bill's who demerge to in-house siblings. So here the messages are coming from Anne's house. Those messages are demultiplexed and hand over it to the concerned kids in Bill's house. Here the network layer protocol is postal service. Postal service is the responsibility here in this case transport or delivering the letters to the house, not to the kids. Okay, handovering the letters to the kids is the responsibility of transport layer. Handovering the letters to Bill's house is the responsibility of network layer. So node to node delivery responsibility is network layer responsibility. Process to process delivery is the responsibility of transport layer. So that is the thing you need to keep in mind. Network layer versus transport layer. Node to node delivery, network layer. So as network layer starts with M, this is node to node. Node to node delivery is the responsibility of network layer. Transport layer is process to process delivery. These processes they run on different host devices. So process to process, node to node. Now let us look at internet transport layer protocols. As I told you, there are two protocols. One is TCP, second one is UDP. You can observe here. Transmission control protocol is a connection oriented protocol. So that's why here reliable data transfer and the data is in order delivery, because Before transmitting the information, there is a physical communication link between sender and receiver. So the data is delivered in order. All the segments are delivered. All the segments are delivered in order. So here we are going to discuss congestion control, flow control, connection setup. These are the three things which are part of transmission control protocol. While coming to user datagram protocol, which is unreliable data transfer, and unordered delivery. Unordered delivery, because there is no physical link between sender and receiver. Each datagram will travel independently from source to destination. So there is a possibility of loss of datagrams as well as out of order delivery, out of order. The received datagrams may be in out of order. Here delays guarantees, bandwidth guarantees, these are some problems in UDP. This is about what is TCP and what is UDP. While coming to multiplexing and demultiplexing. So in the previous slides we have seen what is TCP, what is UDP, which one is connection oriented, which is one is connectionless, right? And network layer versus transport layer, these things. Now another responsibility of this transport layer is this is responsible for multiplexing as well as demultiplexing. Multiplexing at the source side or center side, demultiplexing at the receiver's side. So let us look at here. You can observe here is the scenario here. Socket. The sockets are available at transport layer, which are used to exchange the information between two different processes. This is the socket. The other one is process. You can observe here one device. Let us say client. Application. At application layer, process is process 3. And at the transport layer, there is one socket that is used to carry the information. Similarly, at another client device, application layer, process P4, socket. The communication takes place through sockets. In between these two, there is a one server. This data is these two client devices are communicating through this server. If it uses client server architecture, here there are two processes running at this server, process P1 and process P2, and you can also observe the sockets here. So if you see, the multiplexing takes place at the center side and demultiplexing at the receiver side. Usually multiplexing takes place at the center, demultiplexing takes place at the server. So here multiplexing at center means it handles the data from multiple sockets. So it receives the data from multiple sockets and it adds transport header. Transport header means it may add the source address and destination address, source port number as well as destination port number, depending on the type of protocol, whether it is connection oriented protocol or connectionless protocol. In general, the header consists of source as well as destination addresses. So here at multiplexing at the center, it handles the data from multiple sockets and adds header to every data. Header information usually consists of source IP address as well as destination IP address, source port number as well as destination port number. Later, the header information is used for demultiplexing at the receiver. It uses the header information to deliver the received segments to correct socket. Segment to correct socket. So here it has the data from multiple sockets and it adds the header information at the center side. The same header information used at the receiver for demultiplexing purpose. Okay. Now let us look at how this demultiplexing works. So this is the TCP/UDP segment format. It consists of first source port number, destination port number, 16-bit and 16-bit, total 32 bits. Source port and destination port. The other header fields. Usually the other header fields consists of source IP address as well as destination IP address in general. Then payload. This is the actual information. Like for this actual information, it adds header fields as well as it adds port numbers of source as well as destination. This is the total TCP/UDP segment format. The data unit at the transport layer. The data unit at transport layer will call it as segments. So this is the segment format. The protocols which are used at the transport layer are TCP/UDP. That's why this is called as TCP/UDP segment format. So here let us look at how this demultiplexing takes place. Here the host receives the IP datagrams. The host device receives the IP datagrams. Each datagram has source IP address as well as destination IP address. That means from which node it is coming and to which node it has to deliver. These things are part of datagram. That's why here other header fields. In this other header fields, the source IP address and destination IP address are included. And each datagram carries one transport layer segment. So each datagram carries one segment and each datagram has source IP address as well as destination IP address. And each segment has source and destination port number. Simple here, the actual data is appended with some header information. Usually header information consists of source and destination IP addresses as well as source and destination port numbers. So here the host device uses these IP addresses. IP addresses are nothing but source IP address and destination IP address and port numbers. Source port number and destination port numbers to direct segments to appropriate socket. So here the host device uses these IP addresses and port numbers to direct the received datagrams or segments to the appropriate sockets. So in this way the demultiplexing takes place. This is the segment format you need to keep in mind, that is called as TCP/UDP segment format. That is transport layer data unit. So let us look at how this demultiplexing works. If it is a connectionless service, that means connectionless means user datagram protocol. So initially the socket is created and datagram. Each datagram carries one segment of information, right? One segment of information. So here each UDP socket must specify destination IP address as well as destination port number. Then only it is possible to forward the datagram to the concerned device. So here the thing you need to keep in mind is UDP socket consists of destination IP address as well as destination port number. That is the important thing. So when the host device receives the UDP segments, it checks the destination port number in the received segment. So based on the destination port number, it directs the UDP segment to the socket with that port number. So because each UDP socket consists of destination IP address as well as destination port number. First it will look for what is the destination port number, and based on the destination port number, the concerned segment is datagram is directs the UDP segment to concerned socket. So if the IP datagram with the same destination port number but different source IP addresses and our source port numbers will be directed to same socket at the destination. So if the datagrams with the different source port numbers and or different source IP addresses but the same destination port number, all those datagrams are directed to the same socket because all the datagrams are having the same destination port number. So you don't bother about the different source port numbers and different source IP addresses, but because the destination port number is same, all those datagrams are directed to the same socket at the destination because the destination port number is same for all such datagrams. All such datagrams. Now let us look at the connectionless demultiplexing example. Look at here datagram socket, my socket equal to new datagram socket with port number 9157. Another datagram socket, socket 1 with port number datagram socket 5775. Datagram socket, new datagram socket 6428. Server at server. So process 1 in the server, process 4 in one client, process 3 in another client device. You can observe here, this is one datagram where the source port number as well as the destination port numbers are specified. Source port number is 9157. You can observe here 9157 is the source port number. Destination port number is 6428. Here the destination port number is available at the server side. That's why this datagram is transmitted from this 9157 to 6428, where 9157 is the source port number, 6428 is the destination port number. Similarly, another datagram from 6428 to 9157. 6428 to 9157. You can look at here source port number 6428, destination port number 9157. So here, can anyone tell here what is the source port number? What is the source port number here? So the data is coming from 6428. Source port number is 6428. So the destination port number is 5775. Similarly, other one is from 5775 to 6428. Source port here is 5775. Destination port is 6428. So here if it is a connectionless protocol, each datagram must have source port number as well as destination port number. Source port number as well as destination port number. If it is a connection oriented, means transmission control protocol. Connectionless means user datagram protocol. So each packet is identified by 4 people, each socket. So in connectionless, we will call it as a datagram. Each datagram carries one segment of information, right? But if it is a connection oriented protocol, the socket here we will call it as TCP socket. TCP socket means connection oriented. So each TCP socket is identified by 4 people. So there are 4 things we need to include along with that TCP socket. One is source IP address and source port number, destination IP address and destination port number. So here the demultiplexer at the receiver side uses all four values to direct a segment to the appropriate socket. To direct the segments to appropriate socket. Here the server host may support many simultaneous TCP sockets. Here the server device may support many simultaneous TCP sockets. Many simultaneous TCP sockets in connection oriented DNS. Each socket is identified by its own four tuple. Four tuple are source IP address, source port number, destination IP address, and destination port number. Here the web servers have different sockets for each connecting client. With no problem with this because web servers have different sockets for each connecting client devices. So non-persistent HTTP will have a different socket for each request. If it is a persistent, only one connection, non-persistent, multiple connections for multiple objects. So here it is a connection oriented. Each TCP socket is identified with four tuples: source IP address and source port number, destination IP address and destination port numbers. Now let us look at the connection oriented demultiplexing example in this. So here three segments all destined to IP address B. Destination port is 80 are demultiplexed to different socket. You can observe in this scenario what are the host IP address and addresses. Address A here, address B here, address C here. Is server IP address, host IP address, and host IP address. You can observe here each segment is specified with source IP as well as source port number, destination IP as well as destination port number. Similarly here source IP, then source port number, destination IP, destination port number. Similarly for every socket you can observe source IP, port number, destination IP, port numbers. So here three segments all are destined to IP address B. IP address B. The destination port number is 80. Are demultiplexed to different sockets. So it is the server where the demultiplication takes place here, which is called as the resident server. So this is about multiplexing and demultiplexing. The next one is connectionless transport. We will see this connectionless thing in our next class. Yeah, this we have seen already: source port, destination port, length, checksum. What is checksum? Checksum example. Then we will go to principles of reliable data transfer. Let us look at this datagram. Connectionless transport is user datagram protocol. So here there is no connection between source and destination. That's why here that the UDP segments may lost and delivered out of order. Delivered out of order. But in the case of TCP, reliable data transfer and the packets are in order. So because it is a connectionless protocol, no handshaking between UDP sender and receiver. No handshaking between UDP sender and receiver. And each segment, here segment is called as UDP segment, handled independently of others. Each UDP segment is handled independently of others. So here the uses of our applications of UDP, the streaming of multimedia applications, like audio, video. Here the loss is tolerant. Loss is tolerant and rate is sensitive. If there is a loss of few If the quality of the signal is also if the quality of signal is little bit weak, means that is also acceptable if it is a multimedia application. So in those applications we can use this UDP in DNS, in SNMP. So these are the uses of user datagram protocol. So if you want to reliable transfer or UDP, you can add reliability at application layer, because UDP is unreliable data transfer. We need to add this reliability thing at the application layer. And this is application specific error recovery. This is also we can include as part of user application layer for reliable data transfer. If you want to implement the same thing for reliable data transfer, we need to include this reliability thing and application specific error recovery at application layer, so that UDP also provides reliable data transfer. You can look at the UDP segment format. UDP segment format. It consists of source port number, destination port number. These are very important. Port numbers are very important if it is a connection less protocol, UDP. If it is a connection oriented protocol, we need to include IP addresses along with port numbers. We need source IP address and source port number, destination IP address and destination port numbers. So here these are the header information, the length. The length specifies length of the segment in bytes, including header. Including header, what is the length of the UDP segment in bytes? Is specified by this length field. Is specified by this length field. Checksum is used for error control purpose. This is the actual information. Application data payload. This is the UDP segment format. So no connection establishment. Okay, if there is a connection establishment, there is a possibility of delay, adding delay for the establishment of connection. Here it is simple. No connection state at the sender receiver. No connection state. That's simple. Small header size, and here no congestion control. UDP can blast away as fast as they want. No congestion control in this UDP. These are the some features of this UDP. No connection establishment, no connection state at the sender as well as the receiver, smaller header size, no congestion control. Congestion control is there only in transmission control protocol. This segment format we need to keep in mind. It consists of source port number, destination port number, fields, length field. The length field specifies the length of the segment, UDP segment in terms of byte, including header, is specified by length field. Checksum is used for error control thing. We will see what is meant by checksum. Other than checksum, there are the parity bits, Hamming codes, right? These are also other possibilities for error control things. But in UDP implementation, there is a concept called as checksum. I think you might have heard the term checksum in your data communication. Anyway, we will see. Okay, this is the UDP segment format. Now let us look at the checksum. This checksum is used to detect the errors in the transmitted segments. Okay, errors. Detect the errors. Error detection only. Here the sender segment contains, including header fields, a sequence of 16-bit integers. Checksum in nothing but addition of one's complement sum of segment contents. So it adds one's complement of sum. to the actual information. The sender puts checksum value into the UDP checksum field. That we have seen, right? Checksum field. Here, simple checksum is addition of segment contents one's complement that is added, that is placed in the checksum field into the UDP checksum field. At the receiver, it again computes the checksum from the received segment. There we need to check, verify whether the calculated checksum in the receiver and checksum received in the field are both are same or not. If both are same, there is no error. If not same, error is rejected. If no, error is. If yes, no error is rejected. If both are same, no error. If both are not same, error. Check if computer checksum equals the checksum field in the value. If no, error rejected. If yes, no error detected. Okay. Now let us look at here. Here we are adding two 16-bit numbers. Here two 16-bit numbers are added. 0 plus 1, 1. 1 plus 0, 1. 1 plus 1 is 0, carry is 1. Again 1 plus 0, 1. 0 plus 1, 1. 1 plus 0, 1. 1 plus 1, 0, carry 1. Actually 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 in binary form is 1, 0. 2 in 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 in binary form is 1, 0. 1, 0. That's why 0 is some carry here. 1 plus 0, 1. 1, 1. 1, 1. 1. Here 1 plus 1, 0. 0 plus 1, 1. Carry 1. Wrap around carry. We will remove the carry. This is the sum. Right? This is the sum. We can ignore this carry. This is the sum of these two 16-bit numbers. The ones complement of this sum is checksum. Ones complement. You can simply reverse zeros and ones. This is ones complement of sum. Ones complement. The sum is already calculated. Ones complement 0, 1, 0, 1. So this checksum is placed in the checksum field of the UDP segment format. So again at the receiver side, the checksum is calculated. The calculated checksum and received checksum are same. There is no error. If not same, there is an error. Okay, when adding the numbers, a carry out from the most significant bit needs to be added to the result. Needs to be added to the result. This is an example of checksum. Checksum is very simple. Here some of the numbers. Then ones complement of sum. Here we are calling it as checksum. The checksum is transmitted along with the message. Again at the receiver end, checksum is again calculated. If both are same, no error. If both are not same, the error is present in the received data. So this is about connectionless transport UDP. Is it clear, man? Is it clear? Emma? Is it clear or not clear? Emma, why the people are not responding? Okay. Thank you. We'll see the other things in our next class. We'll start the reliable data transfer principles and other things, and we'll see in our next class.